And the best part about it too is it's in soup form. So you can pack it up in a bowl, pop it in the microwave if you want for a little bit, heat it up, whatever you'd like to do, and boom, you've got a high protein, high vitamin and mineral, high antioxidant, great, delicious soup ready for you to go ahead and consume. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Holistic Balance. Today I want to show you a recipe that I've been using for quite some time now. It really helps me hit my protein goals each and every day. It's something that is relatively easy to go down, packed full of flavor, and outside of the protein, there's a whole lot of other health benefits to this as well. So let me go ahead and show you the recipes that are going to be involved in this. This is somewhat of a beef stew slash soup. I don't like calling it a stew because the actual liquid isn't quite as thick as what you would get with a beef stew. It tends to be more along the soup side, but it's going to be packed in protein. You're going to be packed with antioxidants as well as a wealth of vitamins throughout this entire thing. So I'm going to show you the ingredients that go into this and exactly what I do to make this. So come on into my kitchen. First ingredient here, we have beef for the actual stew. Again, it's more like a soup than it is a stew, but I buy the pre-cut chunks of this. Easy to cook up, easy to toss right into the soup or stew, whatever you want to call it. Heavily packed with protein, got your healthy fats in here as well. A lot of benefits, as I said, to this soup from top to bottom, and getting that protein, I love having this beef in there. So first ingredient, we have beef. Next up, I use beef bone broth. I use the Kettle and Fire brand, which tends to be a little bit more expensive than some of the other brands out there, but the quality is worth it. There's not a lot of extra fillers that are in there, and it's a very, very quality brand. So I use the Kettle and Fire here. I actually use 3 of these. There's 32 ounces in here. I use 3 of these in my recipe here. Again, this lasts me for about 6 or 7 days. So I'm getting myself in there, close to 10 to 12 ounces a day of the actual beef broth, which is going to add in another 12 to 15 grams of protein into what I'm eating already. So again, this was a highly focused on the actual protein content, because again, I know a lot of people struggle hitting their actual protein goals, whereas a lot of times it's easy to eat soup. Even if it's packed full of other things, it's very, very easy to eat soup, and it usually goes down pretty well. This is something too where if it's towards the end of the day and you're still trying to hit that protein intake, a lot of people have a struggle, myself included, trying to chomp down the actual proteins. You might turn to protein shakes, which I love protein shakes. I take one myself almost every single day. However, I know many people that'll take 2, 3, 4 protein shakes a day to try and hit their protein goals, and you really want to try and aim, I would say minimally, for at least 80 to 85% of your protein source should come from natural whole food sources that you're consuming through the normal digestive process, not something that is in a powder form like whey protein, animal protein, vegan protein, whatever it may be, pea protein, so on and so forth. Again, there seems to be a bit of a argument amongst the community on just how good those things are. Some people will tell you, you sure eat 4 or 5 or drink 4 or 5 shakes a day, you're fine. Other people will tell you you need to steer clear of any powdered protein at all. And as with most things in life, and most things we see these days, it tends to be somewhere in the middle of the extremes that really lies to be the truth. So I like to aim, like I said, 80-85% minimum, getting my protein intake from natural food sources like bone broth, like beef, like our next ingredient here, which we have beans. I'm a big proponent of beans. Beans are extremely good for you. Not only are you looking at the actual protein content, but you're getting healthy carbs from that as well. And you're also going to get it packed with a lot of other vitamins and minerals. One of the big ones that you see, especially in the kidney beans that I use, is it tends to be higher in iron. So if you're not eating a lot of red meat or getting your iron, which there's a lot of people who tend to have an iron deficiency, beans are a great way to go ahead and get that content in you. So again, we have our beef cut up beef chunks for the stew. We have our bone broth. Next ingredient here, I have 2 cans here. I do a small kidney bean, and then I also do a dark red kidney bean. I mix this up almost every single week. This is one way you can kind of change a little bit of the flavor profile and the texture of the actual soup. I might do red beans one week. I might do black beans the next week. I can do red kidney beans, dark red kidney beans, white kidney beans. You can even switch it up if you want and go to something like garbanzo beans. That's an action step for you as well, or something that you can do to kind of switch it up. Again, depending on the beans, you're going to have various types of profiles as far as your vitamins and minerals that are contained within those beans. But again, I'm a huge proponent of beans, getting your healthy carbs, getting your rich protein content, and again, getting a lot of other benefits with it. So these are our top 3 ingredients that are in here. Next up on the list, we have carrots. I buy the whole carrots. I do the peeling and cutting myself. Carrots, of course, really good vegetable for you. You're getting some of your carbs from that as well. You're getting your beta carotene, vitamin K1, fiber, potassium. These things are really good for you. I will admit personally, eating vegetables is not something I am the best at. However, when it seems to be mixed into a soup, I can eat any and every single vegetable under the sun. There's just something about combining all the flavors and the textures together that make it really good. So I'm going to go over exactly what I do with these here prior to putting them in the soup and why I absolutely love these here. Now, again, we'll talk about this more in a little bit, but this is customizable to you. I roast the carrots first with some spices that we'll get into. Get them to where they're just a little bit soft, not mushy soft, but I also don't like the hard crunch of the carrots. So I do a little bit of roasting on there to make sure that they get a little bit soft and tender, and then we toss them in to simmer in the soup for a few hours. Next up on the list, I have celery. Now again, celery is great because it's a very low calorie food. You're also getting some vitamins in there as well. You're also getting iron, you're getting trace amounts of vitamin A, vitamin C. Again, it's not huge amounts in these, but every little bit you can do, especially throwing in a meal like this, it's those small steps that are going to really count towards your overall health. So I love to add the celery in. Again, I'm also very big when I'm cooking dishes like this to make sure that there is a wide variety of not only flavor profile, but texture profile as well. I think the texture can really make or break a dish, and having the celery in there gives it, adding in with the carrots, a little bit of extra crunch that just really rounds out the flavor and everything. You've got the kind of the toughness, chewiness of the beef. You've got the slightly softened carrots, which there's a slight crunch to them, but it's kind of that medium texture. You've got the beans in there, which are going to be a little bit more of a soft, mushier, and then you've got the celery, which adds a little additional crunch to it. So from an actual taste perspective and from a texture perspective, it kind of gives you the whole wide range of being able to get that all in one bite. And I absolutely enjoy this. Again, as we'll go over here, all the flavors that kind of marry in with one another, I absolutely love. I've been eating this almost every single day for the past maybe 1.5 to 2 years. It never gets old to me, only because not only, like I said, the textures of it, but I can play around with the flavor base of it, what spices I'm using one week to another, just to give it a little bit of extra oomph to it or a little bit of difference. But I absolutely love it. It's delicious. So celery is the next ingredient there. Next up, we have onions. Absolutely love onions. I put onions in almost everything that I make. It just really helps the flavor profile. I'm a big fan of onions, the taste of them, the flavor. Not only that, you're getting a wider range of vitamins and minerals in onions as well. They are a low-calorie food. There's antioxidants that are built into this well. There are studies that show it has some anti-cancer properties along with it, may potentially help you with the absorption of iron. So there's a lot of benefits to onions that we go ahead and add in to this soup as well. Again, this dish here, although it may be high protein focused, I wanted to use something that had additional benefits, not just getting additional protein to hit my protein intake, but getting that wide array of vitamins and minerals, antioxidants and things like that to really make this a healthy dish for you to consume. So onions, I buy the big onions. I usually use sweet onions. This is another way you can mix up the flavor profile of the actual dish. If you're using red onions, white onions, sweet onions, it's just going to give it that little bit of taste difference on there. So onions is the next one that we use in the soup as well. Last ingredient outside of the spices that we use is garlic. I usually have a big tub of minced garlic around, and I use a lot of garlic on there. The antioxidant properties of this, you've got vitamins and minerals as well. There's a lot of benefits. I know pretty much everyone knows the benefits to garlic. It's extremely important that we get a decent amount of garlic in our diets. It can really help boost your immune system as well as provide you with overall health benefits. So garlic, I'm a huge proponent of in a lot of dishes, similar to onions as well. You know, if it's not a sweet dish like a dessert and I'm making something that's just a regular dish, there's a good chance garlic and onions are going to make its way into it as well. So this is the last ingredient that we have in the primary part of the actual soup. Then we move on to our spices. Now, again, you can customize this to your liking, whatever you want to use. You can try it out with a little bit less than what I use, a little bit more. You can try varying spices and flavors, whatever helps the flavor profile for you, but the bulk of the ingredients we went over. So outside of that, the typical spices that I'm going to be using for the dish itself, I use paprika, I use black pepper, I use salt, which, by the way, big proponent of this company here. No, this is not sponsored. I'm in no way affiliated with them. I do have a link, which I'm going to put in the description of this here. I get a little bit of a discount off of future products if you do use this link, but I'm not actually affiliated with them at all. This company is called Redmond, and they make Redmond real salt. These come from ancient salt mines in the state of Utah, made here in America. It's the most delicious and flavorful salt that I've ever had. Again, I use this stuff on almost everything. If I'm going to be using salt, because anybody out there who may be an athlete, one of the biggest minerals that we tend to be depleted of on a daily basis is our sodium. And for a long time, you've probably heard a lot of the myths that if you eat too much salt, it's going to result in heart health problems, overweight, so on and so forth. And there's been so much new research that has shown that to be, for the most part, false. Now, if you're eating a lot of frozen foods, a lot of things that you have to pop in the microwave to heat up, and you're getting sodium content purely from that, yeah, that sodium may be bad. But having real natural salt from real salt mines is not bad for you, and it's actually something a lot of people are short on, and I recommend. So this company here, Redmond, highly recommend. Once again, I'll leave a link in the description below for you guys to go ahead and check them out. I use their electrolyte blend as well as their real salt, so highly recommend. Also use their toothpaste as well, which is made from clay. I know it sounds crazy, but my teeth have never been cleaner, and I have my dentist even asking me after my last visit, what have you been doing differently? Well, I started using Redmond's toothpaste, which is made from bentonite clay. Again, sounds weird, clay as toothpaste. It gives me the most clean feeling. My teeth are whiter than ever, healthier than ever, and my dentist has backed that up. So another one I would highly recommend. Once again, I'm not affiliated with them. I just like recommending to you products that I use personally and that I've seen success with. So go ahead and check them out. All right, so first step of the process here, I take the carrots and I go ahead and peel them. What I do is I buy 2 1-pound packs of carrots from my local grocery store. I try and buy the whole carrots, not the baby carrots. Again, if you want to do the baby carrots as well, you certainly can. I like to try and buy, when I can, things that are closest to how they naturally came or how God created them for us. So I like to buy the whole carrots. I do the peeling myself. After we do the peeling of the carrots, we're going to go ahead and cut them up into small chunks. That's when we're going to go ahead and add some spices and flavors. get them roasted. So let's go ahead. Alright, so now we've got our carrots cut up so you can see what that's like. We got a bunch of carrots that are cut, chopped thin. You of course don't have to spend a lot of time making them the exact same thickness because they do cook well enough throughout the soup as you're simmering it for a few hours. But now that these are cut up, I'm going to go ahead and start with the base of the soup. What I do is I turn it on very low, just above simmering, so about between number 1 and number 2 on my stovetop setting. I'm going to go ahead and add in the bone broth. As I said, I do 3 of these in there. This week I'm doing, just because my grocery store was out of the full beef broth, I'm doing 2 beef broth, and I'm doing 1 kettle and fire chicken broth. Again, not getting as much protein from the chicken broth, but again, I like to have enough to last me the entire week. So we're going to go ahead and add those on in. Once that's in there, I add in about 2 to 2.5 teaspoons of salt. I'm going to add in probably about a half a teaspoon of black pepper. And then one spice I forgot to include in the beginning is I use a mix of garlic powder and parsley as well. I know I use a lot of the actual real garlic, but I use the garlic parsley mixture as well. And that I do about 1 to 1.5 teaspoons in the base of the soup. Again, all of these spices are something that you can experiment with to get the flavor profile that you really enjoy. Then I'm just going to mix that up, make sure everything is good to go. Top. All right, next I'm going to start heating up the pan for the carrots, and we're going to get the mixture of spices and everything for the carrots as well. Now, what do I use? Again, another one I think I forgot to include in the beginning, extra virgin olive oil. Always look for something that is first cold pressed. Chances are too, get it in a glass bottle. If you get the ones in the plastic bottle, it doesn't have as good of a shelf life. And for me personally, I'm not a big fan of a lot of things plastic because depending on how long they've sat or if they did sit in any sunlight, some of the plastics, the microplastics in there can seep its way into the actual ingredients, which may not be harmful in small microdoses, but if it's something you're eating every day, it can certainly, or it can potentially have ill effects for you. So I do about a teaspoon of olive oil right into the carrots. Next up I have my turmeric, which we do about a teaspoon in there as well. I got my paprika. I do about 1.5 to 2 teaspoons of the paprika. Maybe just about all I have left in this one here. Then we do about 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. And about 1/2 teaspoon of red minced real salt. We're going to go ahead and mix that up. Alright, so now our carrots are ready for roasting. As you can see, everything looks beautiful. All the flavors are coated around it. The spices, salt, turmeric, paprika, black pepper, olive oil. Looks like it's well coated everything, so we can go ahead and roast the carrots. While I'm waiting for my pan to heat up, next thing I'm going to do is drain the beans out. Some people might want to use the actual juice from the beans in there. You can experiment with that. I personally don't. So I go ahead and drain the beans out and wash them so they're dry when I put them in the soup. All right, so we've got our mixture of beans here, the small red beans and the dark red kidney beans. Once these are rinsed and drained, these just go right into the soup itself, right from the very beginning. Again, once we put everything together, it's going to end up being about 2 to 3 hours that I let everything simmer in the pot and let the flavors really combine with one another. So now that our pan's hot enough, I go ahead, I dump these carrots right on in. Love to hear that sizzling. Now what I like to do is roast them for about 5 minutes, mix them up, roast for another 5 minutes, then I turn the heat down and cover it to kind of give it a little bit of steam, again to help with some of the actual texture of the carrots before we toss them in the actual soup itself. The roasting of it, I like getting that little bit of burnt char on some of the carrots. It just helps add a little extra flavor into the soup itself. Next up, while the cooked carrots are roasting, we're going to go ahead and start working on chopping up our onions. For me, with the onions, again, just about a half a teaspoon of olive oil. I do just a little bit of salt and a pinch of black pepper. Mostly everything that I make with this, I season with the same flavors for the base of the actual soup itself. It helps cook the flavors into the actual ingredients and then just ties everything in together really, really nicely. So you see everything blended together, so now our onions are all set up. Now it's time to mix the carrots. Try not to drop too many of them. And we're going to turn the heat down on the carrots just a little bit. Top goes on. Alright, now while we've got the carrots steaming a little bit, we've got the soup base with the beans in it, pretty much all good to go. Next thing I like to do is start chopping up the celery. Alright, so now the celery's all cut up. Our carrots have been steaming now for several minutes. All we do with the carrots, after I mix them up, they're going to go right into the soup as well. Alright, so now that the carrots are in, we're going to take the onions that we cut up. Those are going to go right into the pan as well. And we're going to let those cook until they get a little bit caramelized. Even though you tend to get the actual cut up beef chunks. Sometimes some of the slices or chunks are a lot bigger than others, which can affect some of the cooking. So I like to just go through, make sure everything is in fairly even chunks, nothing too big, no pieces sticking together. Perfect. So this one was actually pretty good. Maybe this guy here will cut up a little bit. This guy as well. Alright, so then this goes in the mixing bowl. Same one that I had the onions and carrots in. There's usually a little bit of the flavorings in there that stay in there. Again, tying everything together. Again, about another half a teaspoon of olive oil. We're going to take just black pepper, a few pinches, and then also some of the Redmond's real salt. And I'm going to get in there and hand mix this as well. I hand mix instead of the tossing because the meat's already a little bit wet. It's tougher to toss and get it evenly mixed, so I like to go in, get everything nice and mixed so the beef is evenly coated. Alright, so now that'll be ready to roast here in a few moments. Alright, so onions are starting to get a little bit softer, a little bit caramelized. Next step here, we're going to add in the garlic to roast with it as well. Again, these are the type of flavors you can play with, but I'm a huge fan of garlic, so I do quite a bit. As you can see here, hopefully without me spilling it, this is a large spoon. There's probably about 2.5 tablespoons of garlic, minced garlic in there. We add that right into our onion mixture. Go ahead and mix that around. Sit for another few minutes. This is where I start to put all the spices away. We are done with our cutting board, our knife, and our peeler. Alright, after we cook for just a couple of minutes once we add the garlic into the onion mixture, it's ready to be tossed right into our actual soup. Doing a little bit of cooking again is going to help bring out some of that extra flavor in both the garlic and onions, which is just going to add to that extra flavor profile to the overall soup. So now this is ready to go right in to the soup. If you don't have a large pot that you can put all of this in, slow cookers also work as well. That's something I was using for quite a long time. Following the same pattern, once everything's together and in, cook on low for about 2 to 3 hours. So now we're going to go ahead and get our beef cooked. Now, the key with the beef here, at least for me, depending on how you like it, I only like to do a light sear on all sides of the beef so I can get rid of the red coloring on there, but I do like to leave the inside a little bit darker because once you go into the soup and it's simmering for a couple hours, it is going to cook through, and just doing that light simmer on that is going to really help seal in the juices and make the dish extremely flavorful. Alright, so now the beef is cooked about the way I want it. Show you here. I'm going to go ahead and drain this out. Once drained out, these guys just go right into the soup. Let's go ahead and show you how this looks over here. This is how everything looks. We're going to give that all a nice stir. Perfect. And now that that's all stirred, we're going to cover that up and we're going to go ahead and let that sit for about 2.5 to 3 hours on a low simmer. And that is it. That simple. As we said, everything goes ahead and sits in the pan on simmer for about 2.5 to 3 hours. You can do a little less, a little bit more. That'll help fully cook the beef all the way through, get the flavors nice and juicy, make everything incorporate, soften the celery just a little bit, and you have yourself a delicious vitamin, antioxidant packed soup that is also very high in protein. I basically worked up the macronutrients list here. If you take everything in here, now this is going to be taking the recipe that I'll go ahead and put in the description below and dividing that over a 6-day period. You can do 6 or 7, but you're looking at, for one serving, if you do it over 6 days, you're getting 58 grams of carbs, you're getting 7 grams of fat, and you're getting 52 grams of protein. Again, you've got the beans in there, you've got the beef in there, even some of the vegetables actually add a little bit extra protein in there as well. So you're getting something that's packed with the carbs and proteins. For you athletes out there, I know how important that is, and sometimes it's very difficult for us to get that protein in. Being able to do it in a simple soup form like this, it's very easy to go down and extremely high packed in the protein world. Total calories, you're looking at a little over 500 calories. Great for a meal, great for adding in at the end of the day, beginning of the day, whatever fits for you. And the best part about it too is it's in soup form, so you can pack it up in a bowl, pop it in the microwave if you want for a little bit, heat it up, whatever you'd like to do, and boom, you've got a high protein, high vitamin and mineral, high antioxidant, great delicious soup ready for you to go ahead and consume. If you want to take this up a notch, sometimes what I do, again, if I want to pack in just a little bit of extra protein. Now, there's a lot of people out there that might say, well, I heard once that you can only absorb 25 grams of protein at one single time. Well, that's actually not true, and there's a lot of studies that have come out saying that that's far from the case, and we can actually take in excess of 75, 80, 85, 90 grams of protein in a meal and still have our bodies be capable to absorb that and utilize that towards the repairing and building of muscle. So if you do want to elevate that just a little bit more, what I'll do is, if you have unflavored whey protein, you can put a scoop in there. Or what I'll do in particular is I'll take a scoop of collagen and I put that right in as well, mix it up before I reheat it, and boom, I've got another 20 grams of protein in there, bringing it up to about 70 grams of protein. And again, for me, I'm trying to hit about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Currently, I sit at about 190 pounds. 190 grams of protein a day is a little difficult depending on how busy your schedule is or whatever it may be. So if you put in the time to do this, today for me is a Sunday, which is meal prep day. I have this all set and ready to go. I can have it throughout the week. Again, 6 or 7 different meals, probably closer to 6 for me. I'm getting that 50 plus grams of protein in there. If I have days that are really busy and I can't seem to get to that protein that I need to, and I'm short 10, 15, 20 grams, scoop of collagen goes in there, and boom, I've gone ahead and hit my macro goals for the protein for the day. So would love to see you guys try this. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you had any success with this, what did you think of the overall flavors? I'm really curious as well what you may have thought of the textures of this, because this is my favorite part of it. There's a complete amount of textures in there that just in one full scoop and one bite, it's absolutely delicious. So Hope you enjoy. Again, if you like this content, don't forget to like the video, comment, and subscribe below. Please let me know how this went for you. If there's any other advice that you are looking to know, any other recipes that you want to see that I go through my daily routine, please go ahead and let me know and we'll create a video. Love you all and can't wait to see you on the next one.